Hey everybody, I'm Dan Schmidt. This week we're in northeast Wyoming, land of open plains, gorgeous views, and a variety of wildlife. This is Destination Whitetail.
When asked what's the best state for bow hunters, people often think of places such as Kansas, Illinois, Missouri, or Wisconsin. Little do they know just how much of a sleeper spot Wyoming can be. Arguably the ultimate whitetail destination, the cowboy state offers the experience of witnessing unpressured whitetail in what can only be described as their most natural western habitat, almost as if the settlers had never arrived.
Well, I started guiding in the 70s in Montana and Wyoming. Of course, loved the hunting. It was a family tradition. And just because of learning the guiding industry, slowly built up. Our first hunters were in the house with us, and then 5 years later built a cabin, and then another 5 years. So it took a long time to get where we are. You know, we do a lot of scouting throughout the summer, but the fact that the deer are easy to pattern, and it really is helpful. You know, they're just coming in on them trails in them lush alfalfa or grain fields or water, and we can really watch our water source, and that can be helpful. I think the whitetails do behave differently here because of the large ranches, the big parcels of land, and limited pressure. You know, we control that pressure on each and every parcel by one group of hunters per 10,000 acres and so on. And they just don't get the pressure to, whereas sometimes you drive into a field, you just don't see them running off because of that. We've had fellas see 20 bucks in one field. That's not uncommon. And I'm talking, you know, shooter bucks. Lots of yearlings and young ones. But every evening's different, you know. We're just hunting and deal with weather like anywhere else. You know, of course we still, you know, Wyoming's totally wild animals, no high fence, but I mean, it's still hunting, but there's a lot of game, you know, and I think we manage it well for that.
Coming up on Destination Whitetail, the editor-in-chief of Deer and Deer Hunting magazine, Dan Schmidt, travels to Trophy Ridge Outfitters and investigates the lifestyle of the western whitetail. And then he heads out into the wilderness after his very own Wyoming trophy. Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Browning Trail Cameras, by Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker, by Analogics, protect your herd with the power of science, by Sever Broadheads, straight through it, Alps Outdoors, exceed your expectations, and by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable.
Dad,
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. The Eagle has landed. We are in South Dakota, ready to get it started. Head to Wyoming and kill a big deer tomorrow.
Without hesitating upon arrival, Dan talks with guide Eric Dunn on just what it takes for a whitetail to survive in the vast Wyoming prairies.
Okay, Eric, we talk a lot about water requirements for whitetails.
Yeah.
Out in the Midwest and the East, they get a lot from the vegetation. They don't really have to go and drink. They do when it's available. Here it's a little bit different game, isn't it?
Right. A lot of times here, Dan, we don't get a lot of rainfall. Our annual total is around 20 to 30 inches a year, which really isn't not that much. Just take now, for instance, we haven't had a rain in about 4 weeks, about a month. And there's a pond right behind us that we utilize for hunting purposes, just because there's no other water source. They have to come here and drink. They can eat anywhere they want, but they have to come to the water and get their daily drink. So we take advantage of that, and we pop up blinds, we hang stands, anything we can do, because a lot of those water holes are better than the best food plot you can put down on the ground.
It's a magnet for deer.
It is.
You know, a lot of guys see this on TV, they see the antelope hunting, and that's kind of almost classic, isn't it? Antelope coming to water. Whitetail's kind of the same thing?
I would say in the West, yes, because like we were just going over, the amount of water here is minimal. They're not going to get the moisture out of the vegetation like they would in the East.
What about distance? You know, we often talk about a buck's home range and a doe's home range.
Yeah.
It's different here. They're coming from how far every day to get to these sources?
Well, just for instance, this particular water hole, these deer could be coming from 2 or 3 miles just to get here, because there's no rivers, there's no lakes. It's just whatever's the water tanks, whatever the water tanks are that the rancher put in, or the man-made ponds that they put in for the cows. They're going to come as far as they have to get the drink.
This helps you also, obviously, with patterning. Is there any other terrain features that you look for when you know a deer might be coming to this particular water source? What are some of the other things that make terrain, obviously woods, but anything other than that you're looking for on how to pattern a buck?
Yeah, we typically like to have a water source close to a deep draw or a huge canyon, because a lot of the biggest bucks that we have, that's where they're living. That's their bed, and they know they're safe there. And they only have to worry about the natural predators around, because there's not a lot of hunting pressure here. So we kind of like key in on water tanks and water sources that are close to deep valleys and deep canyons, because that's where they come. They come up those, they feel safe, they pop over, get a drink, and then out to the food source they go.
The Eliminator 3 laser scope from Burris is an innovative and effective hunting rifle scope, combining outstanding optics, laser range finding, and trajectory compensation for the exact ammunition you choose to hunt with.
Dan's first sit is in a tree overlooking a high-traffic deer trail, hoping, of course, to have a nice mature buck come within range of his Matthews bow. However, being the deer enthusiast that he is, he's just as excited to get a chance to observe the whitetails and mule deer as they commence in their pre-rut behaviors.
What's really interesting is these whitetails and mule deer do live together, but they're two different animals. So that whitetail is really destined to land a lot more than these mule deer do. Just behave a little bit differently. Best thing about hunting early season is you get to see some of this behavior up close, because these deer haven't been hunted all year. They're pretty much unaware of our presence. Having scent killer and spraying ourselves down coming in here, that really paid off. But we had deer underneath our stand all morning, wasn't winded once. That's testament to good scent control. But the neat thing about watching these deer up close is you get to see all these behaviors, especially with the whitetails. You know, they're wetting the epithelium of their nose, that's the nasal lining, to try to smell. They couldn't smell us. We had a little bit of pre-rut activity here that happens in September. You see a buck thinking about making a licking branch. You know, he's working his preorbital lure, his preorbital gland on a licking branch, paws a little bit, and thrashes the brush a little bit with his antlers. It's a little bit of aggression. The weather's getting cooler. These are all signs that it's fall, and bucks are starting to disperse. They're starting to feel their oats, and they're starting to get their own identity. And that's what you got to be on the lookout when you're hunting, is when these deer break out of those bachelor groups, then you can really pinpoint where they're going to be within their home range.
While Dan was enjoying watching the deer from his tree stand, Eric was out scouting for a little pre-lunch hike through the sage. He was able to target a specific buck for Dan's first ever whitetail spot and stalk.
So what did you guys see this morning?
Well, we had 3 pretty good, young bucks, but they came right up. We got to watch them for quite a long time. There's actually an 8, a 9, and a 10-pointer.
We're gonna get on here.
All right, let's give it.
Make a stalk and see if we can find them.
Let's give it a chance. That would be a first for me.
If it works out, it'd be phenomenal. The buck is huge.
Oh gosh, oh, no pressure on me now. You know, I got to experience something this morning that I've never been able to do before, and that's spot and stalk a whitetail. As you see, this land here in Wyoming is absolutely beautiful. We're with Trophy Ridge Outfitters, and you know, we got out of our stand in the morning. It was a very eventful morning. We saw some bucks, we saw some does, a lot of action, and we decided to try to come in here with Eric, our guide, and he saw a buck bed up in one of these rock outcroppings, and we're going to try to get close. And if you've never tried this before, you really got to try it, because we kind of peeked over, we couldn't find the deer. And finally, when we were least expecting it, he was bedded right below us and he took off across the field. But a very cool encounter with a very big buck. We're going to try it again this afternoon.
Coming up on Destination Whitetail, with one more sit for the day, Eric decides to place Dan in a hay bale blind right next to a watering tank, which ends up being Dan's very own buck paradise. Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Decked. Work smarter, play harder. Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry Plus technology. Apply it, dry it, and go hunt. By 10-Point Crossbow Technologies. There is no substitute. Get armed and deadly with Easton FMJ arrows. By Sig Sauer Electro Optics. Never settle. And by Matthews Archery.
Hey, I'm Brittany Jill, and I'm going to share a few tips that I like to do when I'm setting up my trail cameras. What I like to do is have 2 SD cards for each trail camera. That way, when I go and get the one SD card out of my camera, I have another one to put in right away. You don't want to miss your big buck that could be walking by as you're checking your camera. Another thing I like to do is label my SD cards. A lot of people don't have the same brand for each of their trail cameras, so if you put an SD card in one brand and you take it out and put it into a different one, the card could get corrupt. Now all that's left is to go set it up. So a few other things that I like to do before I go and set up my camera is make sure that I'm scent free. I want to make sure to spray down my boots. I like to wear latex gloves. That way my skin doesn't come into contact with anything unnecessary. I'm also going to be bringing my wipes, so after I'm done putting my trail camera up, I can wipe it down so there's no scent left behind. So I'm gonna put this camera a little bit higher than what it normally would be because we have the tall grass right in front of us and the field right behind us, and the deer like to travel through there. What's left to do is put my labeled SD card into it and turn it on. Now I know my camera's scent free. I'm gonna leave it up for a few weeks to see what's out here. But when I come back, I'm gonna make sure that I bring my second SD card so I can swap them out.
To get your stuff together, what we're going to do is we're going to head out this field edge. We're going to try to stay in the shade because a lot of these deer kind of stage up in the 30 yards, 40 yards in the trees.
Okay.
We have a hay bale blind out there. It's about 20 yards next to a water tank.
Okay.
We've gotten a lot of good bucks on camera, scouting cameras. It's going to be a real good night. It's going to be perfect northeast wind.
We got good wind for that spot.
Good wind, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you see that deer out there now?
Oh yeah,
to the
yeah.
left of the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, the blind is about 100 yards past that, so.
Okay, so I just hug this tree, go up to the top, and then go to the right.
That's right.
Okay, good. Good deal. Let's get it.
Yep.
Get our stuff and get going. Okay, thanks.
Still day one. The afternoon hunt has arrived, and Dan is being sent to a hay bale blind only 20 yards from a water tank. And after only a few short minutes in the blind, Dan soon sees just how much of a buck paradise this spot truly is.
We are absolutely covered up in deer. We got 4 shooter bucks, big ones, right out in front of us. I hope they come this way. Got him, got him, got him, got him. We got him, we got him. Watch him go, watch him go. Stay on him, stay on him. Blood is just pouring out of him. Pouring out of him. Go down, baby. He went down right there, right in the edge of the field. Yes! Yeah, oh my gosh. Oh. Pins and needles. We watched this buck for a half an hour. He came across this field. He's a good mature buck. Early season Wyoming. We saw 50 deer tonight. We saw 25 bucks, 25 rack bucks. And he came up to take a drink right from this water tank here. And I could not hold it together. We had a spike 1 yard out the window right here. And he blew, or a deer back there blew, and this deer ran out, but he stopped.
and I had to lean out. We forgot our chairs. We're sitting on a Rubberman tote that was in the back of Eric Dunn's pickup truck. And I got him right through there. Yes!
What a pretty buck. Oh my gosh. What a pretty deer.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good shoot.
Yeah, he,
Man, you see all the deer?
oh my gosh. I put it right on him.
Perfect shot.
Yep.
Oh, I thought the edge was fun.